Sorry about that. I was actually on mute myself, but here we are live. Thank you so much. Welcome to Blue Star Careers, this webinar. I'm Laura Torres, and today we're traveling across the country to welcome our live discussion partners who are here to share with you and all of our community members that however you like to work, wherever you are in your journey, Land O'Lakes will meet you where you are. That's right. Land O'Lakes, or AKA LOA. That's how we like to refer to them here through our Blue Star Careers community and our Blue Star families in general. They have over 6 areas of employment options with various headquarters across the nation. Chances are that you might find some really great opportunities in a corporate, part-time, flexible. So jobs from co-op to agriculture retailers to remote options, perhaps part-time with very flexible remote work where you get to set your own hours. That's right. They have jobs that are available for you, and then you can search, of course, the nearest location. So we ask that you please bring your questions. Tell us where you're watching. Send us a shout out. We love to send you, of course, a shout out in your community. So we love to have you and your comments, your questions, your employment opportunities answered today. So let's get started without further ado. Thank you so much. Thank you once again. Thank you so much. Welcome back to our Blue Star Careers webinar. Thank you to Kurt and James, or Jim, from Land O'Lakes for joining us today. We will ask them all about their particular roles through Land O'Lakes, but also their military connection, the great work that they do out there. But to our audience, once again, please post your questions, comments, where you're watching. We love to send you a shout out. We love to be able to recognize the communities that we are supporting across through these live career streams. So thank you so much once again. So Kirk, James, let's just go straight to you guys and introduce yourselves and tell us all about you and your amazing work that you do for our community.
Kurt, I'll defer to you first. How's that?
So, Kurt Ripplemeyer, I've been with Land O'Lakes about 2.5 years, but in recruiting for close to 30. Managed the talent acquisition for Supply Chain Group. We really focus on trying to find, veterans, spouses of veterans. We understand that those pools are typically better for us. So it's a big, I guess, network for us. I guess it's close to me in that I didn't serve, but my father was a retired lieutenant colonel in the Marines and saw the struggles he had getting out of the Corps and transitioning and things we had to go through. So it's near and dear to my heart, even though I haven't served. It's making sure this community is taken care of.
By the way, quick question, James, Kurt, I'm sorry. Were you part of growing up in the military yourself?
Yes.
Well, thank you for your service, military child. This is the month of the military child, so thank you so much, sir, for your service as a kid. So we'd like to send shout out to our military kids.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I was born in Camp Pendleton, sister Quantico, and brother Subic Bay. So
wow, fantastic. Thank you, Camp Pendleton. Yeah, it gave us some really good years to our family as well. So thank you. All right, and we go to James.
So I'm not as popular as Kurt. So I'm Jim Bruno. With Land O'Lakes, 13 plus years. I am the manager of the supply chain as well. Kurt and I support the supply chain in general, which is our largest business unit. Been on the VET ERG board since we started, and it's about 9 years now. And my father and his 4 brothers were all in the military. I have not been in the military. My cousins are in the military, but I support the military and the spouses.
And you sure do. Thank you so much for your service. And were you also a military child growing up in the military?
No.
Okay, well, regardless, thank you for your service to supporting our all of our community as an ally. So, and of course, your family, your service member, your immediate family connection. So that is always a great acknowledgement as well. So thank you so much for all of that support. And so we'll definitely we'll get started. We're gonna post some questions. We have a really live audience and members in our sponsors community. So thank you all the team out there who is watching and supporting. Please post your questions, comments. We want to be able to send you great feedback regarding your career needs. And we're going to share in a little bit also the link where you can start searching and go directly to the Land O'Lakes career page. But first, we have James is going to walk us through a really great overview of what Land O'Lakes has to offer so that you can just learn more. These are careers for military spouses, but also for veterans, for transition service members, for our military kids, young adults who are looking for part time flexible work, for anyone who's interested in really getting and taking advantage that we have two incredible connections here who are open and willing to go the extra mile to make that connection and support us. Behind the scenes with of course with modesty to be able to get you more clarification on the roles that are available. So so we can go ahead and get started to join those that presentation. We're going to ahead and start doing that. So let's get ready, Bruno, with that. In the meantime, I'm also going to remind our members that if you are not yet part of a Blue Star Careers community in the neighborhood, please do so. We are looking forward to your direct questions. That's where you will find also part of this presentation, as well as the follow up. And we'll share some immediate job leads that we're going to take over or steal, borrow, if I should say it that way, from James and Bruno right after the session it's over. And we're going to post them out there and we'll be offering for you, of course, direct support. So go ahead, team, go ahead and welcome to our webinar.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Laura. So Land Lakes, I'm going to start with our first slide, which is we're part of the SkillBridge program. We've been involved with them about 3 years. It's been a good program for Land O'Lakes. We also give the opportunity for members who are, leaving the military, have an opportunity to learn a skill set or have an opportunity to just showcase their talents. Last year we had 60 interns be committed to different roles. We could 26 interns in full-time positions. And that could be anywhere from a full-time role, a virtual role, a flex role, or a project-based role as well. Also, we part of for the last 3 years, we're part of the Blue Star families, and just in general, we have helped support food insecurity and done several things with the Blue Star family. One thing I will share is we did a pay your grocery bill last year. We awarded a $500 gift card to a family. And what I was told was, here's some of the stats. I won't go into details, but 22,000 people apply for this opportunity. So there's one person that won a $500 gift card, and we also had five $250 gift cards given away as well. There were several comments that were shared with us, but I won't go into details on that as well. Also, we did a additional thing. We did 600 military families. We did like a little bag, a gift bag, with books, art supplies, and more. That was given out to a target. And we are doing something again this year as well. Some of the organizations we support is Beyond Yellow Ribbon, Manufacturing Institute, DoD SkillBridge. And again, I won't go into more any details there, and also just some of the things for ERG as well. I'm going to have Kurt go into this about Land O'Lakes, who we are as a company.
Yeah, switching gears a little bit, Land O'Lakes, most people know us for our butter, but we are much larger than that. Go ahead, Jim. We basically are the third largest co-op in America. We are not traded on Wall Street. We are owned by our member farmers and distributors. Just some data points. 50% of the harvested acres in the U.S., Land O'Lakes, we handle with our agronomy group. 12.5 billion pounds of milk. All the chocolate, the Hershey's, the Mars, that's Land O'Lakes butter. And then the animal feed per day, 100 million. So feeding cattle, chicken, swine, sheep, goat. That's our Purina animal feed group. Some more numbers. Fortune 213, again, not traded on Wall Street, but we're still in the Fortune 500. Globally, 9,000 employees. We do have some international locations, 280 U.S. facilities in all 50 states. Our revenue, it's between 17 and 19 the last few years. 1,263 members own Land O'Lakes as they're the owner, and then the number of retailers.
Hey, Kurt, I'm going to interrupt. So when people are members, what that means is they share in the profits within Land O'Lakes. So we pay for their products, and at year end, we give them a dividend in return for the products produced. So I wanted to share that out, Kurt.
No, appreciate that. Again, the different business units. Dairy been around 100 years, 101, I think, this year. In early 2000s, went out and purchased Purina, got into the animal nutrition, diversified a little bit. A little bit later, stood up what's now Winfield United, which is our agronomy, crop inputs, herbicides, pesticides. And then just last year, we stood up our sustainability group, Truterra. So first year on the books last year. So those are the four business units within Land O'Lakes, and why we're more than just butter. So again, some additional numbers. Time recognizes Land O'Lakes, and our Beth Ford, our CEO. She's on a number of lists with Fortune. Very accomplished CEO. So some stats, we'll get this deck out and share some of those numbers. So one of the things we launched in 2022, we were struggling to find full-time employees for a number of our plants. And so we piloted a program, flexible shifts, part-time, where applicants, candidates can pick their shifts in 4-hour blocks. And the pilot was successful. We rolled it out through the whole country. So we have 100 and some sites now that can offer flex positions, and basically 4-hour blocks of time, depending on the site, anywhere from 12 to 29 hours a week. A lot of them end up liking it, converting to full-time, but great for parents who need to take their kids to school, but have a few hours in between picking them up to get some work in. So definitely some good options there.
Hey, Kurt, just on the flex schedule, we were just recently written up in Wall Street Journal about this.
Yes. So our vice president of supply chain was interviewed by the Wall Street Journal. It's what we're offering in manufacturing is unique. Right now, most people have first shift, 7 to 3, 3 to 11, what have you, whatever those hours are. But somebody allowing flex, doing something a little, I guess, not normal, tough to pull off. So we've had lots of companies call and see how we're doing it, trying to understand it, but it's been successful for us very much.
If I may chime in and comment how incredible this about so many members from our community. As you mentioned, and it's always so delightful to include this when you can include students, military kids, retirees, parents, caregivers, veterans, individuals who really need just the flexibility and the part-time work. So thank you.
I think, Kurt, we can share one of our locations. We had an individual who had a disability who was not able to find full-time employment. Can you share that story?
Yeah, so he was a disabled veteran who, during COVID, was let go, wasn't able to get gainful employment. He came in through our Flex program and basically wanted a full-time. He came in, worked, proved himself, and he's not able to do some of the duties, but he's great on a forklift. and he loves what he does so much he wanted to go full time, even though he's retired from the military after 20 years. So, um, disabled vet that we had put through that flex program. So some comments that are in Wall Street Journal or some other periodicals that have pulled this story. But again, stories of parents being able to drop their kids off and pick them up from school, make doctor's appointments, not miss games because changing you pick your schedule every week, every 2 weeks. So 2 week increments doesn't have to be the same schedule. So it does allow for all kinds of flexibility. And along with Flex, those are on site right now. Those are in our facilities, but we also offer virtual or remote roles. So depending on the role and the level, you can see some of the skill sets or titles rather of some of the programs that we have. There is a section where you can have job alerts for just the virtual roles. So all the virtual roles will come to you once you sign up for those alerts. Get an idea of what we can offer to candidates, to you folks in a virtual setting. So no commuting, can work from wherever. So a very successful program. We had it pre-COVID, but it really expanded during COVID. So we're allowed. We've been able to expand it a little bit more. So keep it going.
How many roles would you say, Kurt, we have as a virtual at any given time? About 30, 35%?
I would think, yes.
Because we're seeing
I
more.
like to.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I'd like to compliment you and say thank you for keeping the programs that launched right during COVID and post-COVID, and you've been able to very successfully manage to keep them, to continue to foster and make adjustments, but also continue to offer these for our community and for just the communities in general. Because a lot of programs came during COVID, they launched, they tested, and then within once we got back into the normality of the day-to-day life, they kind of disappeared. But you guys have been able to really foster those opportunities and continue to support our members. So thank you.
One thing I mentioned, Laura, one thing I mentioned is, Kurt and I are virtual. Kurt's out of Texas, I'm out of Illinois. And again, but I think there's a stigma that being virtual, you don't interact with people. But what's nice about our roles, we actually go to corporate twice a year. So we have an opportunity to spend 2 weeks a year in corporate, which, for me, that's enough. I don't want to overdo it. But 2 weeks is enough for me. But even in the several roles we do have, a lot of the managers and directors, they want to have the visibility. They have the person come to the office. So there is some travel involved with the virtual roles. So it's not that you're remote on an island by yourself. There's an opportunity to interact with people face to face.
Good point.
So I'm going to stop there, Laura, if you don't mind.
Not at all. Thank you. That was a really good overview of all the great opportunities. So you have the fellowships. I'm sorry, the Skill Bridge. You have the flexible program. You also have remote work for qualified skill employees, and then there's just an enormous amount of opportunities to get your foot in the door or to get started and find out some great options. So, but I do have some questions, and then of course remind our members within our audience to post some questions as well. But in general, what would you say is usually the traditional sort of a process for me to get my foot in? And I learned about Land O'Lakes through this, and I was like, oh my God, this is such a great opportunity. I do have a good vision plan, 5 years career track sort of a planning. I'm going over to one of your locations. How do I build my skills, my key skills and qualities, so that I get a good shot at landing in Land O'Lakes?
Kurt,
what are some of those key skills and qualities that Land O'Lakes looks when hiring new talent?
So I think some of the core, whether it be flex, full-time or virtual, are, we're looking for people who can work without supervision, right? But it can also be part of a team, understands that, This is teamwork. This is a business, but Land O'Lakes is a company that I think getting your foot in the door is building relationships the best you can, networking within the group. Some of the skills, uh, any tech skills, make sure you're talking about those, especially if you're looking at virtual roles, that you understand the virtual technology, meetings, right? Zoom, Teams, how those techs work. Highlight that on your resume so folks understand that, you have the capabilities to work virtual. You understand the technology. So
And I would
anything to
just
add,
add,
Jim?
yeah, I would just add, Laura, I think if anybody is interested, they should reach out to either Kurt or I direct. Let us help them navigate through Land O'Lakes because, you may see a role on our career site today. It could be gone tomorrow, but it doesn't mean
That's great.
it's gone forever. Let us help you get, the foot in the door by, let's navigate what other opportunity might be, or what other skill sets you bring that we can help you modify, enhance and say, let's bring these skill sets out and let's share with some other managers.
Absolutely. And we definitely always encourage our members to really, I mean, we share the links, we share your direct page, employers' direct pages, and continuously search and navigate, but most set up job alerts so that you're alerted when these jobs come and open, and then reach out right away, either through us, we'll get James or Kurt attention, or we definitely make sure that you get their direct attentions. With, by the way, on LinkedIn, we share their LinkedIn profiles, so please connect with them directly so that you can follow what they promote, follow what they shared, but also some other personal career journeys as well. That's how we network, and we'll be able to share more incredible opportunities for you guys. So thank you for that, Kurt, and James. I do have another question here, and I know you mentioned this particular veteran with a disability that was able to work flexible during COVID and now beyond. But could you share some additional success stories or examples where employees who have progressed in their career journeys with Land O'Lakes? Because you have multiple areas, of entry within the career, like even your own unique careers. How have you been able to progress your own career? Because you guys both share a little bit over 7+ years of experience with this company, correct?
So I've been at the company over 13. So
Wow.
again, I'm probably the most senior person in TA right now. Not that I'm bragging about that, uh, but again, I think Kurt and I both have a team of recruiters, and I think what we try to instill with them is have a curiosity, be inquisitive. Even though you may not have the skill set today, work with us. How can we help you get to that next level? Because again, there's a lot of raw talent out there. People, know Land O'Lakes as a butter company, but we're also a data-driven company. We're also a sales-driven company. We're a company that has, many different antlers in different areas. We're a finance company. So again, don't feel like what you see on the website is going to be your career. Be inquisitive. And Kurt, I'm going to throw it to you because I'm sure you have something to say as well.
Well, I was just going to share Jordan Wheeler,
Mm-hmm.
a Scalebridge intern that Jim and I brought on, Air Force, 13 years, civil engineer, had an undergrad in logistics warehouse, got a master's in computer science. We brought him on to help us with Power BI and our reporting, met with VPs, did some networking. HR didn't have a full-time role for him. But he was able to prove himself in some of the products he built for Jim and I, and ended up getting a full-time offer in the dairy business unit using his Power BI skills. So again, it's not something he used in the military, something he got as through education, but his skill set was strong enough to take on a fairly senior role in that group. So.
Well, that's a really wonderful experience and story. Totally different transition, because we are so accustomed, or we are so conditioned that, oh, if you go to school and you train for this particular one, or if you are in the military, imagine that you have been doing the same role or the same activity for multiple years. Your logistics, your MOS pretty much dictates, or tries to, at least, where you will go next. But these are beautiful stories, how you can transition into totally different when you put your minds to it, and be able to transition into some other great options. Now, I do want to ask you a little bit. question for you. Talk about a little bit about diversity and inclusion within Land of Lakes. What kind of initiatives, groups, programs do you guys see that shape up internally to support our diverse communities?
So,
I
so
think
Land
that's
O'La-
you, Jim.
yeah, go ahead. So Land O'Lakes has 11 different ERGs, and ERGs, employee resource groups. It could be anywhere from Latino, Asian affinity. There's the gay, lesbian.
LGBTQ.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the first acronyms. Again, there's an abundance. So part of our job is to showcase each month a different organization. How can we foster? How can we build out awareness? What's going on? Each ERG has a month that they can promote their group of activities that they're doing, successes they've had, involvement, showcasing speeches and all that. So I will say it's a great deal. It's on our president's mind that she wants that focused, and we have dedicated people that actually drive that focus. So, and I will say that we've increased our footprint. Um, what's interesting about Land O'Lakes, if you would have asked me about Land O'Lakes 20 years ago or 15 years ago, it was an all male environment, very dominant. It's mostly females now in Land O'Lakes, which is interesting. And it's interesting because they have a footprint. They have, people start at different levels. They've grown. They're bold in their initiatives. They want to be vocal, and again, people hear them.
Wonderful. I love that. I love that you have so many different diversity and things, activities for, to just to really welcome different talent, different ideas, and innovative mindsets that definitely, create and shape up what you do. It's more than just butter. It's more than a career. It's a great opportunity for you to really land into expand career growth all across whatever you might be in your journey. I do have another question here for you, and I'm going to go to one of our members in the sponsors community who has a question. But what resources or support systems do you have internally? So, for instance, if I start in the Flex program, or I start in the part time work related part time, and then I'm ready to transition in a couple of years to full time, what systems in place have you? Just tell me briefly, what system in place have you? Can I expect in order for me to build a longevity with you guys?
So I would say if somebody starts at Flex and they show a desire to want to grow their career, we have a great mentorship program as well as a reverse mentorship program. Now you probably say, what's a reverse? We have people who are fairly young in their career that mentor older people like myself. What goes on in the real world? Which again, more and more companies are doing that. But I would also say we have an in-house degreed education, which lists several courses you could take to get yourself ready for that next level. And Kurt, anything you want to add?
No, I was going to say your relationship with your hiring manager, let them know the skills you want to develop, roles you're looking at potentially moving into, and they'll work with you to develop the skills you need or further enhance the ones you have to get those roles. Individual development plans are created on a yearly basis, so tracked. So it's we have lots of programs, including tuition reimbursement, right? So even if someone wanted to get some education outside of Land O'Lakes, we can provide some of that. So,
and just to add one more thing, Laura, our president Beth Ford has always said our biggest asset is our people. Make them grow. Why should they need to go somewhere else and grow somewhere else? Make them grow here.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that example of where you have, the different groups and mentorship programs. But the mentorship, because usually mentorship, when we think of it's someone who has been older, wiser, and has had a longer career trajectory, mentors younger, newer, career-minded individuals. But I love that you also reverse those roles as well. I think that's very unique, and I never heard of such, because you're right. It's time. It's good to hear from other generations, younger generations who are in the workplace, to see what are some of those needs, their needs, and how we can incorporate some of those very fresh ideas for them to support that. I love that. So thank you for sharing that. I do have a couple of questions here from our members and spouse for. So if you are watching on LinkedIn, on our YouTube, or of course our digital community, or here, please post your questions. I'll make sure that I'll address those with our team. But I do have Samantha in our sponsors group who is asking if a job is listed in a specific city, what is the probability that it could turn into a remote position for the right candidate? Who wants to take that?
Oh, I'll defer that to Kurt.
Kurt, do
Um,
you have the magic wand to turn jobs that are for the right candidate into a remote setting? No pressure here.
no, I think that would be a rare occasion, and that would be on skill sets that are extremely difficult to find. Um, I don't think if we're advertising, it needs to be at a location they're going to want them at that location.
Yeah, there's certain skill sets and
Very
experience.
specific about
Yeah,
intentional about.
and it's just a data on. So when our recruiters do an intake call with the manager, we'll press them and ask them, does it have to be a virtual role, or does it have to be in the plant or at a corporate office? It's just some flexibility. And 9 times out of 10, the manager will think it through and say, you know what, it can maybe go virtual, but again, we have to push on it sometimes.
Got you. So, what are some of those examples of really high skill or the right candidate? Can you give us some examples? Just not to put you so much on the spotlight. I
Well,
know what this particular candidate has to offer, so I would love to be able to push to you her resume and help you, help put you on the spot backstage to help us find an amazing career opportunity.
so
Yeah, for her.
I'll start it off. So again, when I think about some of the virtual roles that we've had success with, you have maybe some admin roles to support VPs and directors, customer service roles. We have our process improvement roles that could be remote, which is actually driving continuous improvement. Our finance roles can be some are virtual, up to a controller position. A lot of our IT roles are virtual. Kurt, jump in anytime.
So the analyst, data scientist, some of the tech roles as he was mentioning, but more kind of understanding the data, putting or having people put in a format that people understand. Um, those roles, they're logistics, right? Planners, demand planners, transportation planners. So those roles also something that can be virtual. And just as Jim mentioned earlier, virtual doesn't mean at home all the time. There could be some travel in that role, right? So
But there's options when we speak to the right talent acquisition, such as Bruno or James or Kurt or Jim. However, we want to catch them in the day, right? It could be James, Bruno, or Jim. One more question for you guys from our
You know,
sponsors. Go
just
ahead.
to say, Laura, if a person does see a role that's posted as a specific role at a location, it wouldn't hurt to reach out to Kurt and I to see what the possibilities are. That maybe there's another role behind it. We call overlap. May have another opportunity come behind it that might be more of a virtual or uh, uh, remote position. So again, even though it's posted corporate based or plant based, don't be afraid to ask questions.
Wonderful. And that's why it's important to have these sort of discussions and really break down the barriers, the challenges, but also the positive ways to really make things happen and not make assumptions that just because it's not listed on the job board, then that's it. Got to go directly to the source of support, which is Kurt Ripplemeyer, and then, of course, James Bruno from Leno Lakes. And they are, of course, are great providers of support and entry options for Land O'Lakes. One more question for you guys. So, how difficult is it for someone who has some gaps in their career to successfully start a career with Land O'Lakes? And this is from Srijana over in our sponsors community. So, gaps. How do you address gaps in Land O'Lakes? Especially, this is very notorious with our military spouse community. So,
Well, I think that's that's actually a good question. But I think talking to Kurt or myself, let us help you sell that. There's a reason for the gaps. We talk it through. Are we doing consulting work? Are they doing part-time work? Are they a caregiver? What are they doing? They
there's
go to
still
school.
skills that they
Yeah,
have no matter what they're doing that may
that's right.
translate, right? It doesn't have to be hard skills, technical skills, could be soft skills, right? Organizing, um, being able to project manage and take care of several different priorities, conflicting priorities, right? So, which, family members do. when they're not working. So
So I guess having the conversation with us is important.
Excellent. I love that. So I hope you're ready because you're going to get a lot of direct messages and a lot of outreach here because you have given us the opportunity to really reach out to you and talk about that. Now I want to bring out spotlight for our members who are in the back listening through our learning community. And so here we have a good variety of different learning options for individuals who get different specializations. Plus, within our military community, of course, there's a lot of organizations that offer free certifications, specializations, and all that stuff. Now, how can you speak a little bit about more about unique careers that are more specialized career tracks, opportunities that are available through Leno Lakes, like through your data scientists, your engineers, project managers, behind the scenes, those very highly specialized careers. What are some of the options for career growth there?
I think you're going to see a trend, and Kurt, please jump in, um, with a lot of Chat GPT experience, maybe some exposure with um, Power BI reporting systems. I think we're going to be doing more and more work, I should say, in other countries. We're building a bigger footprint out in Europe area. Um, Bilingual skill sets will be important down the road. We do business right now in Canada. We do business in Mexico. We do business in China. We do business in Africa. We do business in Kurt.
Latin America is a big
Thank you.
focus growth
Yep.
area for us this year. Latin
Right.
America.
So having those bilingual skill sets is going to be a big plus right now. But again, everybody brings a different experience level to the table. And everybody has the same cookie cutter background. So and it's not fair to say having unique skill sets. It's what you have and how you managed it and what you do with it is important, and how we can help sell that. That's the bottom line. Kurt, anything you want?
Wonderful.
Sorry, Kurt, do you want
Yeah.
to jump in? Anyone here, Kurt?
No, I was just going to say, if you're looking at engineering, having the technical expertise, as talking about some of the project managers um, roles, is highlighting, the technical. We are some hiring managers fairly flexible. Where is a degree required, or is it, nice to have? If you don't have it, but being able to at least showcase and provide examples of how technical your expertise is, right? The competency level. Um, so even if you see roles that look at that education requirement, because you may see degree, but a lot of times it'll say or and give options after. So not every time degree. Please read that entire sentence because it's not always mandatory for those technical
Love
roles.
that. Thank you. This is now you go into my list of very friendly, flexible job descriptions because that's one of actually the things that we cover in one of the job of our sessions is read the description in full detail. If not, then ask the direct point of contact just in case, because you're right. Sometimes the barrier of the bachelor's or the listing of the education could completely turn you off. But if you go down in details, you'll find that it's a very friendly job and it's a very welcoming organization who is willing to work with you in your experience, your gaps, as you mentioned, as Jim mentioned as well. Is like let's talk about your gaps. Let's discuss how you supplemented your learning, your experience through your gaps. Maybe it wasn't paid, but it was something else you were doing, right? So I love that you guys have provided us with so many great opportunities and options for our members to really engage through your work opportunities. I really want to get right now to our shout outs and our members who are watching. I want to give some time, but also remind you to set up job alerts. This is the best way that you do and you find out more. And it comes to your inbox when those jobs are added, and you want to be the first one or one of the very few to go in immediately and explore and read the job description so that you can then reach out to James, reach out to Kirk, or reach out to us through the neighborhood and said, Laura, I found my perfect job through Leno Lakes. Can you please reach out to them and flag them, let them know that I'm very interested. But one last thing, also one other thing for our members. that I want to ask. What are some of those specific areas? So I'm one last question here from my sponsor. Sorry. What are some of those main highlight areas throughout the country where you have a more abundance in work options?
What do you mean? Can you, I'll let you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So you guys are, I know you were very heavy in the Midwest, but in you express you also have a great potential of growth in Latin America, which by the way, this is a great opportunity also to showcase bilingual talent on Fridays. But yeah, but across the nation, you also have some major headquarters or other corporate offices. What are those?
So we have close to about over 200 locations across the country. First of all,
200. Wow.
yeah. So it could be anywhere from a plant to the R&D center. It could be a distribution center. It could be an agronomy service center. So again, with a footprint of 200 plus locations, but our corporate office is based in Arden Hills. I would say, again, what type of role you're looking for, it depends on what your skill sets are. What you're looking to do with that skill set. And Kurt, I don't.
I would say, the dairy plants, those are 300 and 500 person plants. So those are pretty substantial locations. Some of the smaller feed plants and distribution centers can be 13 people. So just not as big, not as many opportunities. Um, so.
Great. Thank you for that. And then, of course, we're going to take a moment to send shout outs right now. And then I'm going to get back to you and ask you our call to action and help us wrap up this webinar. We're coming close to the end, and it's been a very enlightful, very high learning conversation. So thank you so much for visiting us today. I want to send a shout out to Julissa, Sujana, of course, Claire. Thank you so much for watching all the way in Fort Leonard Wood over there in Missouri. To Amber, thank you so much. Of course, Lisa, thank you all the way from Texas. I'm sure there's some really great opportunities out there for you with Land O'Lakes. Samantha for posting your questions. And then, of course, Marelli for watching. Then, of course, we have our audience on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn it's a little bit different. I cannot necessarily see the specific profile. So just continue to post your questions, post your comments. I'll make sure that we'll come back and return and review those and point you into the right direction. If you're on LinkedIn, you definitely got LinkedIn profiles for James and for Kurt so that you can connect with them directly. If you are in our sponsors community, remember, we'll do a follow-up with additional job leads and more support directly through the neighborhood where you definitely need to be there because that's where we post all of our post-event activities plus additional resources, and we'll build an employer profile for Land O'Lakes so that you learn more about them and continue to access this at your own convenience. So team, we're getting closer to wrap up. We have about 2 minutes or so. So now the spotlight is on you. Tell us, I'll start with you, Jim, Bruno.
Mhm.
How or what are you working on in Land O'Lakes, and how can our community support you? What's your call to action for this webinar, for this particular project?
So again, we're also part of the MSEP program as well. So we're military spouses, but I would say my call out would be is if you have doubts or questions, if you're not sure or you're being turned down several times from employers, reach out to Kurt and I. We both have 30 plus years experience in the industry. Let us help you dissect the resume, get an idea what are you doing wrong if you're doing anything wrong, but let us help you and say, hey, maybe if we try this approach, it may help you out. No guarantees. All we can do is talk.
Wonderful, thank you. And so definitely reach out directly and post your questions, ask them directly and get it from the source. Now, what is the best way to reach out to you, James? LinkedIn messages, are those effective or does that
Email,
just
email is fine. Email is fine with me. LinkedIn's
Perfect.
fine, but I prefer to have an email because it comes to me directly that way.
Got it. Thank you so much. We'll
Mhm.
definitely we'll have the opportunity to forward those to you from our members when they reach out. And then Kurt, what's your call to action and how can our community support you or support any projects you have going on internally?
I think the call to action is similar to uh, what Jim was saying is, if you're not seeing success and in your applications, not getting callbacks, not getting seen, reach out, even if it's not for one of our roles. I think, helping people especially in this community, is something that, again, is near and dear. So happy to help how I can. So even if it's not Land O'Lakes, um, but seek answers. LinkedIn's a great place for business answers, recruiting tips. But again, if you're not comfortable there, reach out to Jim or myself. Happy to help.
And Laura, just to add one more thing, Kurt, I mean, and one more thing, you realize a lot of companies use ATS systems that are AI generated. And if they don't have keywords in their resume, they're going to be automatically discarded into a pile. So that's why if you don't have a robust resume or use certain keywords, don't waste your time even applying for the job, because again, you won't get a call back. So that's why I encourage, if you have doubts about something, you're not sure about something, or you're being turned down by several different companies, again, it may take 15 minutes to talk to us, and we'll give some recommendations and suggestions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Go ahead, Kurt.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, statistically, females don't apply unless they feel they meet 100% of the requirements in the job description. Don't let that stop you. I don't know that we've ever hired somebody with 100% of what's in a job description. So if you don't have everything, you need to have some core skills, don't get me wrong, but you don't have to have everything that's listed. So keep that in mind. You don't have to have 100% of the skills.
That's wonderful music for the ears of our military spouse community, because I know other companies it's otherwise, but I'm so glad that with you guys, it's such a wonderful statement, such a wonderful encouragement, words of encouragement that, hey, let's have that discussion. Let's explore. Let's think about it. Let's see where you might have missed out on your resume. Maybe you overlooked that volunteer experience, or maybe that part-time 6-7 month contract where you learned lots, but it wasn't long enough, that somebody out there told you that leave it out because it shows that you have a gap. But maybe through Land O'Lakes, it's actually an asset. It's actually an incredible experience, because you dealt with so much other great business business etiquette, that it will be a complete different welcoming experience through Land O'Lakes. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you for supporting all the way in Indiana. Wow, Michelle, thank you so much. That is such a great way to reach new lands out there, the lands of the Land O'Lakes. How about that for closing, huh? Thank you once again, team, for joining us, for supporting. We look forward to staying, of course, connected with you, and showcasing more of the great opportunities that Land O'Lakes has to offer, and all the great work that you guys are doing to support our community. Any last thoughts or anything as we click that end this webinar?
Thank you, Laura, to you and to everybody, your audience as well. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for making the time to let us talk about Land O'Lakes.
Absolutely. Thank you for making the time. And then definitely be on the lookout, because you'll have the next rest of the month very busy calls and follow-ups, asking to connect with you and to have discussions. So just for our community, of course, just bear with us. If for some reason we don't get back to you, or things just take off very slowly when it comes to getting back to you in the communication from James and from Kurt, I'm just saying that from my own personal experience. We're not ghosting you. We're just simply busy. And at the moment, it may just, be overlooked. But continue to insist, and be determined to reach our attention. So thank you so much to everyone else for watching. Have a great rest of your day. And we look forward to your questions and post follow-up. Thank you.